Look,
Now suddenly the 100 crore salary seems justified, no?
for
For
who?
Zero the
Dude, it's
owners.
less. I mean, what the hell? Are you
No,
seeing the amount of value the guy is creating?
I'm saying there was so much hoopla over it, right? When it
Yeah.
was announced. But nobody is like looking at these results and now saying, नहीं यार ठीक है
और
अगर इतना कमा रहा
भाई
है तो
तुम
फिर
होते कौन हो कुछ भी बोलने वाले यार?
yeah.
प्राइवेट कंपनी है, शेयर है क्या तुम्हारा उसमें? गार्ड मारो जाओ.
And that is exactly the reason they've stayed private also, both
Yeah.
Zoho and Zerodha, I think, because so that is the thing with bootstrapped companies, right? And bootstrapped
So,
owners,
yes.
like they
So,
they don't like interference or authority. Like they want to run the company on their terms,
yeah.
and they're fine with being broke for a few years, but they will not compromise on equity
No matter
or
what.
on decision making or on clout. They will not give it up.
And
Right.
also, uh, so that's one of our clients, Sterlite. I was asking him, why they haven't raised investments and why they are staying private and working on debt. And so he told me very clearly, Nikhil, look, like someone like a Polycab, he never went, or even say a DMart, right? They never liquidated their equity. They valued
Hmm.
it a lot more, and they kept it private for as long as possible. And they didn't need to go public. They finally went public for some other reasons, like it opens up a lot of government contracts and all that. And the stock price after they got listed has just gone up and up and up to almost 1,300, 1,400%.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm sure, again, we're going to talk a little bit more about bootstraps and Zoho and Zerodha. This is a constant discussion we have with our business, that look, there's three of us. Should we try to raise investment? What should we do? What should we not do? And we've had this conversation time and again. And I think Siddharth very rightly has always pointed out that we can't lose control, and we're still figuring stuff out. And if we lose control and still figuring stuff out, like what's the point of raising capital and investment?
It's a recipe for disaster. Like if you've
Yeah,
lost control and you haven't even figured out what you're going to do, then
yeah.
you'll just be following orders.
Exactly. You'll be in a job instead of,
Yeah.
trying to build a business. And look, it's hard, okay? It's fucking hard to build a bootstrap business. Very hard. But then if you manage to pull it off, if you're conservative with your spends, if you're, consistently doing it right, you can see what happened to Zoho and Zerodha. And Zoho and Zerodha didn't get built overnight. There was not one funding round or one day which then if you see the trajectory, it's like a very slow linear graph like this. There's no exponential, this just slowly kept on growing, kept on growing, kept on growing. And it is where it is now because of that. I mean, look at the amount of profits. And look, a lot of these invested companies want to get here. This
Yeah.
is where they want to be. They want to be an extremely profitable business. But by keeping it private, tomorrow, say Zoho decides to put 1,000 crores on a completely new project, no one can fucking question Sridhar Vembu. He'll be like, "Oh fuck yourself. Who are you?"
And see, this is also the way traditionally businesses were run and operated and started, right?
Yep.
The whole VC game started 50 years ago.
Yep.
The whole funding game and valuation and all of that, where you get to a few crores in valuation, you get to few crores in revenue, and
Mm-hmm.
you're valued at least 10x or 20x that, and then on that valuation,
Yeah.
you pick up a funding round by liquidating 5 to 10%, right? But you are selling a story to the investors that अच्छा मैं अभी 2 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू कर रहा हूँ तो मेरा वैल्यू 20 करोड़ का है. आप मेरे को 10 करोड़ रुपए दो तो मैं 20 करोड़ का सेल करूंगा तो मेरा वैल्यू 100 करोड़ का हो जाएगा, है ना?
Yeah.
You are selling a story. Now you are dealing in hyperboles over here, right?
Right.
These things might happen, these things might not happen, right?
Yep.
It's a gamble.
Yep.
These gambles pay off 1 out of 100 times, right? We all know how the VCs industry runs. Okay, 99 times it fails. One of the investments gives a complete return. So that this is the new way of running a business or funding a business, and it's more of a gamble. Like I'm not saying it's a bad thing. A lot of ambitious projects have come out of venture capital investments. and investors backing ambitious investors backing ambitious founders. We saw that with Uber, we saw that with Airbnb, we saw that with Amazon, we saw that with a lot of these internet companies, right? And that is fine, but the old ways never die. Like the old is gold. There is a reason behind that saying, because it is a tried and tested method. It's been 200 or 300 years in the making, and this is the reason Zoho and Zerodha are the talk of the town right now, is because they stuck to their old ways. The founders are old school guys at their core, and they were very clear that नहीं, मेरे को फंडिंग नहीं उठाने का है। और मैं जो धंधा कर रहा हूँ, और धंधा होता ही है ना यार, तुम कुछ इन्वेस्ट करो, तुम कुछ सर्विस या प्रोडक्ट बनाओ, उसको बेचो, और उससे जैसे 10 रुपए में बनाया और 12 में बेचो, 2 रुपए तुम्हारा प्रॉफिट है। सिंपल सा धंधा, सिंपल ये होता है।
Correct.
Or old, like that is what these guys have done. So, and I've always been a fan of old school people, because there is a no nonsense approach they have. Like they don't need a lot of decorations and a lot of dressing up around their business to sell it. Their business in itself is the marketing, right?
Yep.
So
And
yeah.
that's what, and they try to. It just requires very careful execution repeatedly. Like it just requires crazy amount of grit and grind.
Yeah, it's consistency. It's more than anything else. There's
Yep.
consistency, right? And the mental toughness of these guys is next level. Like you can pitch them against any founders in the country, and uh, they will come out winning. I mean, because these guys have gone through the grit for 10 years. Like these guys have paid themselves zero salaries for like 2 years, and they've survived that. And while their cousins or others were getting placed and getting a lot of job offers and earning in lakhs and buying houses and buying cars, these guys were silently just building their companies.
Yep.
So that builds a certain amount of mental toughness that is not easy to come by.
Yep.
And once you've crossed that path, and once you've built a company while being under so much mental pressure, and still coming out of that and build a company, then now imagine what Zoho or Zerodha will do in the coming 50 years, with the kind of leadership it has, with the kind of
Yeah.
business model and profits they have.
Yep.
And I think I would prefer this kind of a company any day over a funded startup who is valued at $100 million, or who is a unicorn but
Yep.
doesn't have any clear path to profitability.
Very true. And I hope a lot more entrepreneurs or business people are looking at this as trying to shape their business like this.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
look,
saying the other approach is wrong. It's just that this one makes more sense to me.
exactly, it'll be different for you, it'll be different for other people, it'll be different for
Exactly.
me. I don't know, I feel sometimes कि उठाना चाहिए पैसा नहीं उठाना चाहिए, I don't know, it's a constant debate. But the thing is that, right, like if you don't get funding, for example, don't get demoralized, boss, come on.
हाँ, मतलब
कुछ
अगर अगर तुम्हारे पास ऐसा कोई धंधा है ना जिसमें तुम पैसा कमा रहे हो हर महीने, तुम जितना पैसा डाल रहे हो उससे ज्यादा तुम निकाल रहे हो ना, तो तुम एक
बस
अच्छा धंधा कर रहे हो। तुम्हें
exactly,
टेंशन लेने का जरूरत नहीं है।
exactly.
मतलब फंडिंग वंडिंग आए तो भी ठीक है, नहीं आए तो भी ठीक है।
And honestly speaking, some of the best companies, even those who have taken funding, have this approach. आए
हाँ,
तो भी ठीक, नहीं आए तो भी ठीक.
एग्जैक्टली, लाइक एंड मतलब जो ये कांस्टेंट राउंड्स है ना, जो अपडेट होते रहते हैं कि एक और राउंड हो गया, एक और राउंड हो गया, ज्यादातर जरूरत भी नहीं होता है। मतलब देयर आर लॉट ऑफ यूनिकॉर्न्स एंड बिलियन डॉलर कंपनीज हु जस्ट रेज्ड 1 or 2 rounds, एंड आफ्टर दैट दे वर फाइन, दे वर लाइक अब जरूरत ही नहीं है तो अब क्यों उठाना है पैसा।
Exactly. Fresh Desk was one of them. I think 3 4 rounds के बाद they were like चाहिए ही नहीं पैसा. Customers will pay for us.
Exactly, and your customers are your funding round, dude. If you cannot figure that out, if you cannot figure out a consistent revenue model from customers, then there is a problem with your business. Like it's not going to be sustainable. कितनी बार funding उठाओगे?
Exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was the. I think I think I couldn't find any other stories in Hindu business line or anything, Siddharth. But I think let's stop it at that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Do subscribe to Business Banao. We plan to do this daily. Hopefully, it goes well. See you
Yeah.
guys tomorrow.
Yeah.